Some dare call it conspiracy.
Welcome to the Some Dare Call It Conspiracy podcast, hosted by Brent and Neil Sanders. After nearly 20 years exploring the world of conspiracy culture, we are taking our guests and listeners on a guided tour of the rabbit hole. Our mission? To discover where the truth lies. Hello, initiates. This here is a short snippet of a Q&A session I had after my recent talk at Cambridge University, hosted by Sander van der Linden. If you want to listen to the full hour, please hop over to patreon.com/somedarecallitconspiracy, the only place where you can listen to this session in full. Enjoy.
Aside from state of mind, have you probably reflected a lot on yourself and why you ended up believing in conspiracy theories, but you probably met lots of other people as well. Do you see any sort of common traits that the deep believers tend to have? Because, at least to me, in a weird way, the thing that leads to conspiracies also overturns them, and that's skepticism. That actually a lot of people enter these sort of fringe beliefs because they think that things don't quite add up, and they don't like authority explanations of things. Yeah, somehow they don't follow that skepticism all the way to the end. Yeah. And there's some magic combination of, I don't know if it's personality traits or ways that people reason that kinds of keeps them in that loop. So do you have like a list of kind of things or behavioral types that people...
Well, I'd say like it's more about distrust than healthy skepticism. I think the thing that I shared with other people that I see now and talking about it is I believe there's a naivety about, say, politics or how the world actually works. You just kind of don't agree with what the authorities are saying because that's not the healthy skepticism. That's just like more of a distrust. And coming away from it, you kind of develop more of a healthy skepticism to stuff. Well, why are people telling me this? And questioning both sides and everything. I don't feel like conspiracists were really questioning both sides. Didn't like what the government was doing with the Iraq war, essentially. So I went looking for other answers. The government's telling me that we're going to war with Iraq because of weapons of mass destruction. The journalists are all saying there are no weapons of mass destruction. The United Nations are saying there is no weapons of mass destruction. So I'm kind of looking like, well, why are they going? Oh, because of what they're saying here in 9/11 and a paper that was written called The Project for a New American Century by the neoconservatives that were in Bush's administration. In that, they said that the survival of America depends basically on taking over resources from the Middle East. But we could not convince the American public to get behind such a move unless America was faced with a Pearl Harbor moment. And 9/11 provided that Pearl Harbor moment, within a year of this paper being published by the people who were in. So it felt like that was more of the answer, and yeah, it wasn't in skepticism, it was more in this distrust of what the authorities were telling us. I think that the common traits of conspiracists are a naivete, so how the world actually really works, and a care. They care for their brothers and sisters all around us. I can see the same with this COVID and anti-vax movement. Like I said, I was incensed that the government murdered our civilians, both in 9/11 and in 7/7. Specifically 7/7, that was my bugbear. Because that happened here, on our call, on our watch. It was our brothers and sisters being killed for it. And our Muslim brothers being set up for it. These 4 kids, they didn't do this. They're just patsies, essentially. And I feel like that's where I I have things in common with the people who think that, like I said, like vaccines are trying to kill people. You know, it's like conspiracists care. That's the definite thing. Maybe not the bigoted ones that want to like the white supremacists and stuff like that. I don't think maybe they necessarily care, but the wider community, they're into this stuff because they care. I think that's the one thing that really crosses over.
Just to summarize for this, so the sort of the question everything kind of idea comes more from a place of distrust rather than skepticism. Is that kind of what?
Yeah,
That's interesting.
That's my experience.
Yeah, sure.
So, from what you were saying there, it sounded to me as if your kind of introduction to conspiracy theories was through kind of errant data, as some people have termed it, so like trying to find holes in the narrative and explain those kind of columns. And I'm curious, when you say that you realised that conspiracies would become increasingly absurd, do you think that was something that if you personally were deceived in? Do you think that was your own state of mind that changed? Or, as some scholars have suggested, do you think that there was a change in narrative type of conspiracy that happened towards the latter end of that period, so kind of 2015 onwards period?
Yeah, I definitely think the conspiracy movement changed. And it changed to like what I had initially thought. And I wasn't happy to keep going and changing with everyone else. I'd become entrenched in this belief like these are rituals, these are sacrifices. And then when Sandy Hook and Boston Marathon bombing get called hoaxes, like, well, what's the point in getting angry about it then? I mean, unless people are being killed, what do I care then? You know, and I just think you can definitely go back and see the movement changing. You can see the conspiracies that started to kind of be injected into this movement around that time. And how like conspiracy theorists themselves were like starting to become weaponized by another like group. I always say like Nigel Farage turned up on Alex Jones talking about the New World Order, the Alex Jones show talking about the New World Order, and I always found that very, very strange to me. I was like, you're part of the New World Order. What are you doing? How are you doing this? But you could see different narratives being brought into the fold. And it was all things that I didn't like. It was these things that I used to say, I thought they were just fringe. And it was more like the anti-Semitic, anti-LGBTQ plus sentiments and anti-civil justice, really. Like, that never flew at me. And I didn't. At some point between like 2013 and 2015, conspiracies started to move towards the people were the enemy instead of like this elite. That's what something kind of brought me out a little bit. We're like, why are you having to go at like trans people? Like, what's this about? Let's just let them be. Why are you saying this is some massive trans agenda now? Like, that is where like things started to change.
Thanks, Brent.